Hello and welcome to another modelling video. This is an image of a T-38 diorama from World War II. This video will be about diorama building and how to incorporate it into mecha modelling. I always start with a sturdy base. You can buy these extremely cheaply from art supply stores and hardware stores and place a model on it. They're made of wood, so absolutely perfect for keeping the pieces together and won't soften from glue. I mark out where the feet are going to stand so I can make that reasonably flat and build elevation using putty and PVA glue. These are some bits and pieces I'll be using, and I'll also add some mechanical debris from parts from spare kits. The substance I'm cutting is 2-part epoxy putty by Milliput. You need to cut an equal amount of each substance and mix it together evenly to have a putty that will dry over time, around 12 to 10 hours. I'd be familiar with Citadel green stuff. This is very similar. Both products are excellent for scratch building components to model kits, as well as elevation and terrain formations for dioramas and bases. I'm adding PVA glue to the base, which I'll be mixing it in. It's fantastic for incorporating with paint, water to thin it down, and putty, or to make the putty stick to the wooden board, as putty isn't too sticky itself. I forgot to warn you, your hands will get dirty during this process, though all of these are very safe for your skin. Just make sure to wash up before you touch anything else in the household. Now, before the putty cures, layer another coat of PVA glue, and this is the perfect time to add large bits of debris from other mobile suits or the larger rocks or specialty terrain items. Have fun with the placement of items, though try to go for as realistic appeal as possible, thinking what a 20-meter robot will do to the environment and how the environment will fare from warfare. Now, you're going to texture your base with sand. Make sure to collect sand from either railway terrain supplies from your model shop, or collect a multitude of sand around where you live, be it beach sand, playground sand, or dry fine dust of the earth. After another coat of PVA glue only where you want the sand to be, start layering multiple grits, starting with your larger pebbles and rocks, and slowly downgrading to your smaller or finer sand, trying to keep them all in their separate containers for different effects in the future. This is a messy procedure, so layer your work area with a folded piece of paper and newspaper. Once you finish sprinkling your sand, shake off the loose ones off your base and tip it back into your sand container. During this process, you also don't want to be handling the base itself, as you will wipe off or smear the sand sitting on the glue and try to get as much sand stuck to the surface. Once you're sufficient and the finest layer of sand has been applied to your base, allow it to rest for 24 hours before the next stage. You're also free to grab a cotton swab and wipe sand off the surfaces you don't want sand to be on for the painting stage, and voila, you have a finished base to be proud of, which will look fantastic with your model. We'll be looking at painting now. Just like any other element of modelling, you will need to prime it with your normal priming procedure, be it can or airbrush, and a top coat to uniform all the colours, which you prefer to be dark like black, and then we'll be laying paint via brush to lighten up the effect to achieve the tones of the earth that we desire. The rest of the process will be hand painting and incorporating a technique called dry brushing. Use a large flat head paintbrush and you dip it ever so slightly, the tip, into paint and brush it against a tissue or rough surface to get the majority but not all of the paint off. Once it's reasonably dry, you drag your bristle across the detail, be it the fine sand and texture across the base, and you start off doing it quite heavily, and once you go to your lighter colours, between drying of course, You scrape the surface lighter and lighter, leaving less paint behind to get a gradient or a shade effect of colours. Don't be afraid to use a lot of colours and paint different elements or parts of your base in different colours, trying to blend it in all slightly and gaining exactly the terrain or the world that you want your kit in. Afterwards, adjust the finish of your paint by applying a clear coat of paint, be it gloss or matte. Matte so far for dry, earth or dusty environments, and gloss if you want a wet, rain or water diorama effect. Your own specially customed project is now finished, and it is in its own world and can tell a story a lot easier with a surrounding environment. You're free to put it on your shelf to enjoy, though if you are entering this in model competitions, it will help your model score a lot higher, even if bases aren't a criteria due to the luster that's created now. Thank you for watching, and until next time, I hope this video has inspired you to build your own base.